Good evening. I'd like to call the 35th meeting of the Mayor and City Council on September 11th, 2023 to order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman DeWalt,
Here.
Councilman Cole,
Here.
Councilman Sidnor,
Here.
Councilman Mitchell,
Here.
President Smith,
Here.
Mayor Mo.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Agenda item number 3 is the approval of minutes. Does anyone have any amendments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. All right, can I get a motion?
I believe Mr. Sidnor was speaking, but he was on mute.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. President, make a motion to approve the minutes for April 24th, 2023, the work session for May the 3rd, work session for May the 8th, the council meeting for May the 8th, and the council meeting on May 22nd.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Here.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
President Smith,
Yes.
motion carried.
Right. Agenda item number 4 is a report of the mayor and city council. And being that it is Councilman Mitchell's birthday today, I will start with him. Happy birthday, sir.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thank you very much, President Smith. Pretty long report since our last meeting. July 12th, I attended Olive on Main fundraiser. On July 14th, I attended the ribbon cutting at Ascend Wellness. July 15th, I went to UFCW McGeo DPW cookout right there at Riverfront Park. Also that day, I went to the open house at the Women's Club of Laurel. And then there was a community barbecue at the Laurel Boys and Girls Club. On July 18th, I went to Montgomery County. I believe Councilmember DeWalt joined. They had a press conference for the rent stabilization bill that they passed recently. And later that day, I went to Westview Terrace HOA meeting. And it was well attended, virtually and in person. I believe Councilmember DeNogo joined, and Councilmember DeWalt. On the 20th of July, I went to the Laurel Police Ice Cream Social at High Five Ice Cream. High Five, actually celebrated their last day recently, so that was pretty cool. On the 22nd, I stopped by Tacos R Us. More Than Java had a food truck. Later that day, I went to Life After Release. They had a grand opening at Creative Suitland, and it was well attended. I know the state's attorney came out, and I had an opportunity to speak to returning citizens, which is always great. Later that day, I went to the Laurel MD Connect meetup, and Councilman Smith, I saw him there as well. It was at Red Crab House right here in Laurel. On the 23rd, I went to our Lutheran Savior Church. Okay. And then on August 10th, fast forward, I went to the Maryland Municipal League. They did a summer conference, cannabis symposium, to educate the different municipalities on, the upcoming laws, the taxes, and, just answer any questions. And it was very well attended. I know there were several administrative members from Laurel that went, and I had an opportunity to speak on the panel about equity with Delegate Janelle Wilkins. And on August 11th, I went to a Know Your Rights clinic hosted by Casa de Maryland and Councilwoman Crystal Oriata at the Laurel Lake Senior Building to educate them on the rent stabilization bill that passed at the county level. On August 12th, I went to the Charisma Food Bank at the Grace to Grace Center. On August 13th, for the first time, I went to Living Hope Church right there on Montgomery Street. Later that day, I went to the Volunteer Rescue Squad Crab Feast at the American Legion Post 60. It was very well attended. On August 16th, I went to the Laurel Cats fundraiser. On August 18th, I attended the Cops Camp graduation. It was at Granville Goody Park, and it was very well attended, and they were very happy that a lot more campers have been coming back since COVID. And on August 19th, I went to the grand opening at Taqueria La Finca, which replaced Shane's sub shop. And then later that night, I went to the Laurel MD Connect meetup at K-Pot. Let's see. And we had our third annual back to school drive. It was at the Laurel Boys and Girls Club, very well attended. We gave out multiple backpacks with school supplies. All the kids had ice cream and free haircuts. And so that was very well attended, and we were happy to be able to do that for the community. Once again, it was a big event for St. Mark's. They had their Emancipation Day. So we did attend Emancipation Day. I didn't wake up early enough to do the walk, but I did do the parade and the festival thereafter. On the 9th of August or the 9th of September, I stopped by Charisma Food Bank again at Grace to Grace Center. And also got a chance to stop by the African Heritage Festival at the Anne Arundel County, which is an Anne Arundel County event, but it was at the Laurel Racetrack. And I finished that day at the Prince George's County Young Democrats Kennedy King Dinner, one of their annual fundraisers. And I just wanted to say that I'm continue praying for the chairman of the Juneteenth committee, Ron Peterson. He had a stroke, and so he is recovering, but continue to pray for Chairman Peterson. Thank you.
Thank you. Right next we have Councilman DeWalt.
Good evening, everyone. This 9/11, the date today marks the actual anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on our soil in the United States, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Pentagon, and the Twin Towers in New York. Let's remember the thousands upon thousands of people that perished in that needless attack, and especially the firefighters, the police officers, and the first responders. And to this day, over all these years since it happened, we had a lot more first responders die from the smoke and the toxic chemicals they inhaled on the when the actual attack occurred. I've never been to Ground Zero. I've never been to the Pentagon, but I have been to Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And it's only about a little over an hour from Maryland, straight up into the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So if you ever, Pennsylvania is not noted for a lot of good things, but that memorial is really, really something to see. They really did a great job there. happy birthday to Councilmember Mitchell. And just this past weekend, I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I played for the University of Cincinnati from 1973 to 78. And 20 of my fellow teammates were there. So we got to spend 2 days with them. We tailgated, went to the game, and they beat Pitt at the Acura Stadium where the Steelers play. So it was great seeing them. A couple of them not doing so good. A couple of them couldn't make it, but it was an honor to see them again after 40 some years and have a beverage with them. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Next, we'll have Councilman Cole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. August was a fairly busy month for us being on recess. I attended 18 different events, but I will give you the highlights tonight. On August 5th, I attended the 10th anniversary of our community garden, as well as the 100th birthday party for Lotta's Turney. On August the 10th, I attended the Starting Your Native Garden webinar from our Green Living, from our environmental programs manager. On the 25th of August, I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new enclosed patio at Cheetos. On the 26th, I attended and hosted one of the booths at the Community and Culture Day. On the 27th of August, I participated in the Laurel Elementary playground cleanup, getting ready for back to school. On September 2nd, I attended the St. Mark's 5K for diabetes, as well as the Emancipation Day Parade and Festival. On the 5th of September, I attended the sustainability presentation by the City of Laurel with Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. This past Saturday was very busy. I attended the Doggy Dip Day at Greenview Drive Pool. I also attended Sustainable Saturday, as well as the memorial service for Ken Scrivseth. And then yesterday I attended the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department breakfast, which have resumed again, starting the second Sunday of every month. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Councilman Sidnor?
Thank you, Mr. President. On August the 21st, we had a financial wellness event at the Laurel Library, teaching residents about financial literacy. And on August 26th, I attended a Community Culture Day for the city as well. On August the 30th, we had 100 Black men of Prince George County. We partnership with Zeta Phi Beta, sorority, Chi Delta Zeta chapter, with a blood drive here at the Partnership Hall. And on September the 3rd, I participated in the 5K. I ran, almost died, but I did pretty good. Diabetes awareness. And on September the 7th, Employer Prince George County came to the Laurel. Their first time coming to the north part of the county. So they was at the Robert J. Petrie Center. They said they had over 400 people registered, but 166 people came through the doors, and they said looking forward to come back here in Laurel. They're very impressed with the applicants coming through this area. So that concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sidnor. And I'll go before I go to Mr. Mayor. So I won't list all the events, but I've been to several events here in the city. Also, congratulations to Department of Parks and Recs on their first Community and Culture Day. That was beautiful. Lastly, thoughts and prayers again for those who are affected by 9/11. We'll never forget. And just because sometimes you don't have a loved one there, you know, there's people still hurting, because I still hurt from losing my father when he passed away from cancer. So again, thoughts and prayers for those, and wishing us all the best as a country. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not going to repeat a lot that's already been said, but I'll highlight a few things here. I do want to offer condolences again to Karen Lubinecki. He is on our Ethics Commission, the passing of Ken, her husband, and Ken was a member of the Board of Trustees for the City of Laurel Retirement Plans, and they had a celebration of life for him on Saturday, and was happy to be there, and really a nice turnout, and well deserved. Also to the family and friends of John Murphy, Colonel John Murphy, who is a lifetime resident of the Laurel area, well known to many, and we offer condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Murphy, as well as to Ron Peterson, who is the chair of our, excuse me, Juneteenth. We wish him a speedy recovery, as well as Bob Manzia. I'd learned that Bob has been under the weather and in the hospital, and wish him, Bob is our former city solicitor, and wish him the very best. As many have said, today is September the 11th, 22 years ago today. I think everyone remembers where they were when the planes hit. I think it's important that everybody remember. We should never forget. And as you've heard with others that have spoken, we continue to still lose people, especially the first responders, to this day. Had the opportunity, and for those that may be listening that don't know, we have a 9/11 memorial site out front of City Hall. Piece of the steel from the towers. It's mounted out there with the history of that day, and I took the time to sit up there and read that, and encourage you to stop by and take a look at that if you have the opportunity. I want to thank and acknowledge St. Mark's Church and Jackie Jones and them for the Emancipation Day and this celebration, as well as the run in the morning. Excuse me. Those proceeds go to diabetes, and I want to thank them for the plaque that they presented to me in acknowledgement my efforts. I do appreciate that. They do the work. All I do is show up and walk, and I appreciate, like I said, everything that they do. You may have seen on the news, they are looking for blood. So if you'd like to donate blood, I encourage you to get out there. If you're able to donate blood, please do so. We did come up with a date working with the family. I want to announce that October the 7th, which is a Saturday, will be the rededication of the municipal center here. Invitations will be going out tomorrow, but we have worked with the family on that. So October the 7th at 11 a.m. here at the municipal center. Want to remind everyone as well, we do have a new Citizens Advisory Committee on the proposed shelter planning and getting that up and running. If you're interested, please send an invite or a letter or an email to my office. I'd appreciate it. And we did have the Touch a Truck program again back in July. We haven't been together, so I just want to highlight that and thank the staff for all the work they did putting out. It is a great opportunity for the families and kids to get together, and it was well attended, and everybody was happy that we again are gearing back up with some of our outside events that we're doing. On the 28th of July, again, I want to thank everybody in all the different services, our police, fire, and rescue, and our Department of Public Works and Facilities and Park and Recs, and the staff. That was when Richard Blankenship had passed away, and they did a procession for him from here over to several spots around town. Richard was an employee here with the city as well as with the volunteer fire department, very active in the community. And again, I just want to thank everyone for that. The National Night Out, as you heard, turned out very well. I want to thank our police department for making sure that that went off without any hitches, and all those that participated in that as well. We also had the opportunity back in August the 3rd to meet with the University of Maryland leadership for the medical center and talk to them about different things going on in the community. We have a follow-up meeting that will take place next week that will be touring the city with them, letting them know what's happening in and around the city of Laurel. The Mayor's Summer Jobs Program, again, we got that back, started again this year. We did not do a full-blown 12 kids this year. We were able to do several of the offices, and we sent them home with some money. They worked hard, did different programs within the departments, and then we had a luncheon for them on August the 9th. And I had the opportunity to be invited to the 60th anniversary celebration at St. Mary's of the Mills, for Troop 150, celebrating, as I said, their 60th anniversary, as well as the principal, Harris, at the Laurel Elementary School, was there to welcome him as well. Cop Camp graduation, again, we couldn't have done this without our police department and all the volunteers that helped put that on, and just a wonderful opportunity for the kids. Our community and cultural day at McCullough Field, again, thank all of those. Think it's an opportunity to grow over the next several years. People that I spoke to really enjoyed it and are looking forward to participating next year. And then I did have the opportunity to attend the back to school grand opening for embracing behavioral health on the 27th. And as you heard, the Lieutenant Governor was here on September the 5th. I want to thank staff that were here and council that was here. She learned a lot about the different programs we're doing on sustainability and on the environment, and look forward to others with her. We had our kickoff for the Laurel Citizens University, and again, Chrissy Cornwell, I want to thank her for that, and our Sustainable Saturday on Main Street. Michelle Blair, another good turnout, and had the opportunity to look at the doggy dip day at the Greenview pool. It was packed with dogs, and again, always a good time to see the dogs in our swimming pools on that one day. And then the other night, I had the opportunity to attend the Prince George's County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association past President's Dinner, bring greetings on behalf of the Mayor and City Council. We do have a couple of proclamations: National Preparedness Month for September 2023, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month for September 2023, and National Day of Service and Remembrance, which is September the 11th, 2023. They were already put out on social media, and we won't be reading those tonight. A couple of appointments: Marcia Lavelle, Human Mostet, Emily Swain, Stanley Spalding, and Lisa Wolfisch for the Bicycle and Pedestrian CAC. And then reappointment of Phyllis Anderson for the CAC for Disabilities, Brent Duran, Aaron McLaughlin, Mike McLaughlin for the Citizens Advisory Committee on Disabilities, and Melissa Holland for the Arts Council. And I'd ask for council concurrence on that. And that concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Can I get a motion on the appointments and
I make a motion of the names the mayor read on record for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee: Marcia Levy, Modeste, Emily Swan, Stanley Spalding, and Lisa Wolfisch. And for the reappointment for this CAC person disability, Phyllis Anderson, Brent Durbin, I'm sorry, I mispronounced the name, Aaron McLaughlin, Michael McLaughlin, and Melissa Holland for Arts Committee.
Right. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Mayor, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Sidney,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the council. And last, happy birthday to Councilman Mitchell as well. Hope they had a good day today. So that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor Mo. Moving on is the agenda item number 6. It's the general public hearing, which I'll open at 6:25 p.m. Madam Clerk, I see we have a few people signed up to speak. I have a printed list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. And I will, so if you want to wait till the agenda item comes up, you can do so, or I can have you speak ahead of time right now. And so since they're five,
Mr. President, we have, Mr. Kate Wright is signed up for the general public.
okay, and so I'll call the rest of the agenda items.
Okay.
Alright.
I'll let Ms. Wright speak now.
Just a reminder, we have 3-minute limit per speaker. And
Can you hear
please- Yes, and please provide your name and address for the record.
My name is Kate Wright, and I live on First Baptist Lane. Does the city of Laurel believe that words have meaning? Earlier this summer, I discussed how the city believes in the vicinity means a 1.5 mile drive. Today, I ask, what does walkable mean? You might think, like most urban planners, that it's the ability to safely walk to services and amenities in a reasonable distance, 15 to 20 minutes. The proposed corridor center is 20 minutes to the bus, 40 to the nearest retail and grocery, 60 to the train, and with no sidewalks on county-owned Pirate Lane or Conti Road to safely get there. The city's response to me was that this community is walkable because it will have internal sidewalks that go nowhere and a pool they can go to during the summer months. Next is the phrase, enhance the character of existing residential neighborhoods. You might think that this means any new home would have to blend seamlessly with the existing area, but you would be wrong. Pulte Homes proposed 2/2 style townhomes with a housing density and housing style the likes of which exists nowhere else in the city, right next to low density single family and townhome neighborhoods. The city's response to me was that so long as these properties are residential, that's all that's needed to fit the character. And how about the phrase, provide economic benefit and employment opportunities? Perhaps a business that hires people comes to mind. But again, you would be wrong. When presented with the fact that no business is required to open in the 12 live-work units, and the absurdity that a person working from home in their pajamas for a remote employer gets to count as a business, the city's response was to tell me that because these property owners will pay property taxes, this satisfies any requirement for economic benefit and also provides employment opportunity to the community at large somehow. As far as I can tell, words and phrases don't seem to have a meaning for the city of Laurel. The city seems willing to stretch definitions to the point of transparency if it means to allow developers to build whatever they want to build. And it leaves me with a few pressing questions. Is there any development that would ever actually fail to meet the city code requirements? Or do you just find new ways to ignore the meaning of words to avoid inconveniencing developers? Because as we approach an election, I really want to know, who do you represent? Assuming we actually share a similar understanding of what represent means. Your constituents who have made it clear with a petition and postcards that they do not want this community, or Pulte Homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Madam Clerk, besides the list I have, was there anyone else that signed up to speak that possibly didn't make it for the general public hearing?
No, Mr. President.
All right, then I will close the general public hearing at 6:29 p.m. Next on the agenda is agenda item number 7. It's consideration of a bid recommendation, Stephen P. Turney Recreation Complex Lighting, Department of Parks and Recs. Director Bailey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor, City Council. The Department of Parks and Recreation is requesting approval to replace all existing lights with new LED fixtures at Stephen P. Turney Recreational Complex. The complex opened in 1994, and since then, some various improvements have occurred over there with safety netting, shade structures for spectators, resurfacing of the parking lot. This proposal will allow for new LED lighting throughout the entire complex. The new ball field fixtures will increase lighting levels to meet current athletic lighting standards, allowing for better vision, improving player safety. The softball lights will have state-of-the-art networking control system that will allow for scheduling, instant on and off, and dimming capability for a smart device or computer. The conversion is estimated to have a 65% reduction in energy usage and an approximately 20% reduction in utility costs. All Meltec products carry an above industry standard of 10-year warranty. The Department of Parks and Recreation solicited bids through the eMaryland Marketplace and the City of Laurel website, and we received 4 bids back. And they are Hartman Electric out of Baltimore, Maryland for $498,100. Lighting Maintenance Incorporated out of Pasadena, Maryland for $375,000. Zero Draft Maryland out of Lutherville, Maryland for $299,926.32. And lastly, R.L. Thompson of Laurel completed a bid of $256,343. Funding for this expenditure is provided for in the adopted FY 23 CIP Park Improvement Project, as well as funding from the state of Maryland. It is recommended that the Maryland City Council award the purchase and installation of new LED lighting for the Stephen P. Turney Complex to R.L. Thompson of Laurel for the cost of $256,343 and provide a contingency of 10% for an additional $25,634.30 for an overall total purchase proposal price of $281,977.30. I am available for any question.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we award the bid recommendation to R.L. Thompson in the amount of $281,977.30.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second?
A second.
I second. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman DeWalt. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidmore,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda item number 8 is a consideration of a bid recommendation for the purchase of battery-powered mowers. Department of Parks and Recs, Director Bailey, you have the floor again.
And thank you again, Mr. President. Again, the Department of Parks and Recreation is requesting approval to replace all existing gas-powered riding and walk-behind mowers with battery-operated mowers. As you recall, we've already had in phase 1, we were able to purchase trailers, electrify them, some electric backpack trimmers. Now this proposal here in front of us will allow us to buy the big machines, the riders, to complete the phase 2, if you will, of the green sustainability for the city of Laurel. The purchase of this equipment will allow the department to continue to move forward in year 2 with its green initiatives, including the adopted FY 24 CIP environmental programs, and again, meet the new regulations mandated by the state of Maryland that take effect in 2025. With this proposal, the department is looking to purchase 3 mean green 60-inch riding mowers and 1 mean green 36-inch stand-on battery-operated mower. The department again received 3 bids for this proposal, and the 3 bids were as follows. Prider out of Rockington, Virginia, their amount was $120,977.92. Laurel Lawnmower out of Blackwood, New Jersey, their proposal was $118,799.07. And Kohler Equipment out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, their proposal came in at $118,399.96. Funding for this expenditure is provided for in the adopted FY 24 capital improvement plan under environmental programs. I recommend that the city award the purchase of the new battery operated riders and stand-on mower from Kohler Equipment out of Upper Marlboro Maryland, in the amount of $118,399.96. Again, I'm available for any questions.
Does the council have any questions or comments about this? Well, all right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we award the bid recommendation to Kohler Equipment in the amount of $118,000, $399.96.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidmore,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Agenda item number 9 is consideration of a bid recommendation for Van Dusen Road Improvement Concept Design. Department of Public Works, Director Lee, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Smith, Mayor Moore, and council members. As reported out in the work session, the Van Dusen Road is one of the city's major thoroughfares running north and south from Conterra to Old Sandy Spring Road. This project is to prepare for the conceptual level design for safety and roadway improvements on Van Dusen Road. The proposed work will include field investigations, utility impact evaluations, right-of-way impact evaluation, environmental impact, pedestrian facility assessments, drainage and stormwater management evaluation, roadway geometry and traffic evaluation, concept report, and cost estimates. When completed, the concept report will have established the parameters of the scope of work for the actual construction phase of the project. This scope of services proposal was submitted by Century Engineering, which is one of the city's contracted A&E architectural firms, for a total fee of $190,653.50. Funding for the project is provided through the FY 2024 adopted CIP Van Dusen Road project. It is recommended that the proposal be approved as submitted by Century in the amount of $190,653.50. I'm available if you have any more questions.
Right. Are there any questions or comments from the council before we move forward? All right, then I'll entertain a motion. Can someone make a motion?
Mr. President, I will make the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt, Councilman Sidmore,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Did you want to vote, Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
and President Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 10 is the consideration of equipment acquisition, Spartan Leaf Pro, Department of Public Works. Director Lee, you have the floor again.
Thank you, President Smith. The Department of Public Works is requesting approval of the Spartan Leaf Pro, which is an industrial level leaf loader vacuum unit designed for streets and major leaf collections. As reported out, the department solicited several quotes from vendors on both in state and county contracts through Sourcewell. The submitted quote is from Atlantic Machinery of Silver Spring, Maryland, in the amount of $134,192, as provided through the Virginia Sheriff's bid number 23-04-0713. Based on the fleet schedule, this will replace vehicle number 80, equipment number 87, which is a 2004 heavy-duty leaf blower. Funding is available through the adopted FY 2024 CIP Fleet Replacement Project. It is recommended that the purchase of this leaf loader vacuum be approved in the amount of $134,192 from Atlantic Machinery of Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm available if you have any more questions.
Are there any questions or comments from the council before we move forward with the motion? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the bid recommendation for the new leaf loader and vacuum in the amount of $134,192 $192.
Thank you, Councilman Cole. Can I get a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Councilman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman DeWalt,
Yes.
Councilman Sidnor,
Yes.
President Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to agenda item number 11 is introduction and first public hearing on ordinance number 2016, text amendment number 264, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of Laurel, Maryland to amend the Unified Land Development Code, chapter 20, land development and subdivision regulations, to update the use and tables in the residential, commercial, and industrial zones, to update the schedule of parking requirements, to update the special exception section, to update the exceptions and supplements to zone regulations, and to update the definitions therein and provide an effective date. Director Love, you have the floor.
Thank you and good evening, Mr. President, Mayor, and council members. Just kind of going over what I went over at the work session. This is the 7th phase, the Unified Land Development Code update. And then in this one, the proposed changes would add several definitions, update the residential use table for respite care facilities. It would update the commercial use tables to allow for tattoo parlors and body piercing studios in various commercial areas. Would update the parking requirements section. Would create electric vehicle charging station requirements. Would update the solar energy collection panel section and update the special exceptions section for the respite care. Overall, there were 7 sections that were amended in this update. And I am here to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Mr. President, just one comment. I
Sure,
want to
Councilman
remind
Cole.
everyone that this new ordinance will also allow for permit fee waivers up to 75% for home EV charging stations. So if people that are currently looking at electric vehicles want to put in a fast charging station at their home, 75% of the fee will be waived.
Any more comments from the council before I open up the public hearing? Right, well, I'll open up the public hearing at 6:42 p.m. Madam Clerk, I see we have one person signed to speak, and that is Edward Gibbs Jr. Mr. Gibbs, you have the floor. And just a reminder, you have 3 minutes. And please, your name and address for the record. Mr. Gibbs.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, members of the council. Is my audio reaching you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I can't say much in 3 minutes, but let me just say this. I'm testifying on behalf of Federal Realty, the owner of the Laurel Shopping Center, where they have had continued vacancies and where they would like to install some solar panels, which would not be just for use to provide electricity on the premises. They would like to do a community solar system as authorized by state statute. And as you know, all authority for zoning controls comes from the state, and the state retains it if they have preempted local jurisdictions in any way. I believe that this bill, by only allowing industrial properties to generate electricity through solar panels for sale or consumption off premises, may have run afoul of the preemption doctrine. I'm going to present a memorandum on this. I just learned of this bill on Thursday afternoon. I was out of town or out of the office Thursday and Friday. But let me just say this, that you know, when I served in this past fall and early 2023, I co-chaired the Environmental Policy Transition Committee for the new Attorney General. Sustainable electricity and power is a major effort for the state, and solar is a major part of sustainable electricity and sustainable energy. That there are percentage requirements out there that they're proposing to meet within the next 10 years. To limit solar for consumption off-site to only industrial properties, I think really frustrates the intent of what the state's sustainable energy objectives are. And, you know, I would also say that if you look at this, the community solar systems were made permanent by HB House Bill 908, which became effective on July 1 of 2023. And if you look at subparagraph 13 in that bill, there are regulations about what you can do on a piece of property where you have two contiguous parcels with solar panels for community solar systems. And there is a prohibition against doing that. And it says that prohibition does not apply unless you are locating on one of the following properties. One of those is industrially zoned properties. So by saying that, they're implying that community solar systems for offsite consumption can be located on other properties than industrial. And I think that's where potentially the problem comes in here. So I would like the opportunity. I know my 3 minutes has probably expired, and I appreciate the extra time you've given me. But I would like the opportunity to submit my memo to express more cogently and thoroughly my concerns on behalf of my clients. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. You can submit that to the clerk and she'll make sure it reaches our bosses.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing there's no one else signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing at 6:46 p.m. And the second public hearing with possible action on this item will be at the regular meeting of September 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next agenda item is agenda item number 12, introduction and first public hearing on ordinance number 2017, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland to amend the Laurel City Code to remove Article 4 Labor Code from Chapter 12 Police Department and create a new Labor Code, Chapter 13, and provide for an effective date. Mayor Mo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things, as I said at the work session before you, is ordinance number 2017, which amends the current labor code and combines it with the new Laurel Police Department with what we have right now with the Laurel Police and Department of Public Works. So it'll create that new chapter within the code. I want to again acknowledge and thank many that have had input on this, including our city solicitor and our Lynn Lucci, who has represented us for our labor, the CA's office and the Office of Finance. The new rewrite that you have before you, some changes were made due to the work session. We think it is a good piece of legislation that will take care of the needs of both. But as I said before, we need to be cautious to make sure that we don't step on the FOPs, the Laurel Police Department's contract that is currently, this is the first year that of a 3-year that we have of them. And let Mr. Lucci is on as well for any questions that may arise. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Mr. Lucci, do you want to say anything or you just want to wait to see if the council has a question for you?
I have no other comments at this time, but I'm glad to answer any questions that any member may have.
All right, before I open the public hearing, I'm going to give the council a chance to say any comments or questions, and then I'll open the public hearing for those who want to speak. Anyone on the council? Councilman Mitchell?
Yeah, I had a couple of things.
Sure.
The first thing was I think it's 13.1, section 4. I thought we were going to remove meet and confer and update that. I didn't see that in an updated version, at least removed. So that was the first one. The second one was in that same section, section 4. I still think that we should further clarify, what certain matters are. So that I still want that to be taken into consideration. The second thing I think I had mentioned was listing out all included positions that could be included in the union. Because I guess my next question would be in 13, 2B, I still didn't see any admin staff, call taker receptionist, admin specialist, senior admin. I still didn't see anything like that. And when we go back to my question, I guess I'm still trying to understand because I don't think it's included, but the street and refuge supervisor and their ability to join. Because as I understand it, they don't have disciplinary power, can only recommend and essentially are crew leads. When we look at 13.2, section B, I think we should switch the word specifically on the second line to such as, because I think the term specifically is inclusionary, and I think such as does the trick. The next thing was the labor board. I know we started making some considerations, and I appreciate the bargaining unit member. I know through my conversations with the mayor, we did discuss the HR person, and one of the things we discussed was that person being paramount to the decisions made, but also a non-voting member. And so my recommendation would be we can still keep the CA or deputy CA appointed by the mayor. I would have the president or designee of the bargaining unit as the second member, and then the third member, I still would beg for an impartial person. And I think that if we had an impartial person, as I said in my conversation, might not have this need for binding a clause for binding arbitration necessarily, that we would have to go back. So if we had an impartial person that was agreed upon by both parties, I think that would be great. And then the fourth person being the HR person, who's a non-voting member. And moving to, if we kept that impartial board, I would recommend some changes to the back of the grievance process where it says where the second sentence of section 13.12, where it says the employer may at its sole discretion, I would remove that entire sentence. So it would just read, all collective bargaining agreements by the employer and employee organization shall contain a grievance procedure that includes a provision for binding decision by the labor board, and that third person on the labor board could be a mediator, in which you all agreed upon. Moving to 13.2, section C, I would cross out the mayor and city council and put the labor board in several places throughout that section, where I would replace with the labor board. And then the last one would be mediation. Nothing herein contained shall be construed as prohibiting. And then I would remove and put the labor board. I think that way we achieve the impartial labor board. We don't have to go back and make a charter amendment for binding arbitration. And then we also have that mediator in which both parties agree to. So I believe that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Any other comments from the council before I open the public hearing?
Like a couple questions, Mr. President.
Councilman DeWalt.
I too would like to see they compare the DPW with the police department, I guess by the, they go as high as the sergeant's position, which is a frontline supervisor. And it's not clear enough at Department of Public Works with what they have added there, in the positions they put on there that are going to be covered. And like Councilmember Mitchell said, the administrative staff, I know they have administrative people there, and administrative people, it's just like sergeants of the police department. They can't fire anybody. They can't discipline anybody. It has to always be recommended to a lieutenant or above, but I don't even think there's any lieutenants. I think they're all captains now and a deputy chief. So it has to go up to a high level in order to not be able to join the union. And I think a lot of the administrative staff should definitely have an opportunity, since they don't fulfill that in comparison to the police department, should be covered under the union itself. I also, I believe that the politics should stay out of this 100%. You see the last little sections under grievance procedure and the impasse sections. You see that all that is basically comes before the mayor and city council. And if we had a independent labor board that both people agreed with, which is, you know, a person by the city, a person from the union, and a some sort of mediator in between, which is voted on or agreed to by the city and the union. There's your three voters, and it remains independent and fair. And fairness is the number one priority that we want in these grievance procedures. And it's going to be, as we know from history and everything, it's going to be very rare that we actually have to go up higher than some form of mediator as far as the grievance procedure goes. And if it's an actual violation of the labor laws ourselves, then you might have to go up to an arbitrator or something like that, or take it to court or anything like that. But that's a rarity. And the whole thing about resolving these situations in the grievance procedure is probably 99% of the time. And also, I agree with that there should be one vote for the city, one vote for the union, and one vote under an impartial party, such as some sort of mediator. And to keep the human resource officer in the loop, along with the one person from the city. That person could be non-voting, like Councilman Mitchell said, but they will chair the board. They would oversee the whole meeting. They would make sure all the note taking is taken care of. They would have full control of those three members when they're meeting like that. And I think that would satisfy everybody as far as being fair, impartial, and that's basically what we want, is fair and impartial. And we want as many non positions in the labor unit, which would entail those administrative people and a lot of other people below, comparing it to the police department, the sergeant rank. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman Doyle. Do you have more kind of like a statement, but do you have a reply for that, Mr. Lucci?
Not really. I'm here to give legal advice, not to comment on whatever council initiatives there are.
I have something to say, Mr. President, if I may.
Sure, Councilman Senor.
Yeah, I think that the impartial person they're talking about shouldn't be on the board at all. The immediate management labor cannot agree to something, then they'll go back to a mediator, and they'll keep working those things out. That's what the mediator's job. The mediator is not to hold a vote, but the mediator is to allow management and labor to continue to discuss the issue and let them come up with a resolution. And then if they can't come up with a resolution, then they'll go back to the labor commission, and then they'll go back to the process that we had outlined in the code. So I just want to add that to the record.
Councilman Cole.
I have a question for Mr. Lucci or the administration. I think I misread something on the last work session when it comes to the labor board. On the labor board, it has the city administrator, the human resources officer, and then a member of the bargaining unit. We are potentially going to have 2 bargaining units. Does that mean that there will be a different labor board for each bargaining unit? So if it's Public Works, then they'll have their representative on the board. And if it was the FOP, they would have their representative? Or would that one representative be on the board for both?
I interpret as different for whichever bargaining unit has the matter before the labor board. So like if it's a public works matter, then it would be their union representative. If it was a police matter, it would be their union representative.
I appreciate that. Is there a way that we could, and I can think about this, maybe we could clarify that so that it's clear in the code?
Okay.
Are there any other comments? And again, it's all being taken into consideration, everything, and we're absorbing it. But before I open the public hearing for the public to speak. All right, well, I'll open the public hearing at 7:01 p.m. And Madam Clerk, you gave me a list. I have 3 people signed up to speak. First one is Mr. John Berry. Please state your name and address for the record. And again, you have 3 minutes to speak, and just, see if you can get all out. I know you may have a lot to say on this subject matter, but if we can do our best to try to stay within the parameter, I don't want to cut anyone off. All right, Mr. Berry, you have the floor. Madam Clerk, is John Berry there?
Yeah, he's there, but I think he's still muted.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself.
Oh,
Okay, I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I'm speaking on behalf of Gino Wren, who's President Wren. I'm from UFCW 1994. He's not able to make it right now, but considers this a very important discussion. And I'll just read his statement. The proposed ordinance is far from perfect. However, given the political dynamics surrounding its introduction and its movement through the legislative process, we accept it as a work in progress, and we're committed to helping make it as effective and manageable as possible. I strongly believe that once the November election is over and the new mayor and council take office, it'll be in everybody's interest to explore amendments that will bring the code more in line with other like collective bargaining statutes in Maryland. But in the spirit of collaboration, I submit the following amendments for your consideration and support. And those include some important definitions. First of all, a rewriting of the labor board definition, and I'm submitting this for the record. A labor board shall be established to conduct fact-finding and to facilitate the resolution of grievances as described in B above, and the impasse in collective bargaining pursuant to section 15.3. The labor board shall consist of 3 members: management representative, union representative, and a federal mediator and conciliation services mediator or other mediator if mutually agreed to by the city and the employee organization. The human resources officer shall be appointed, and as we just discussed, shall be appointed by the mayor as a non-voting chair of the board. And I'll submit the rest of that for the record. The important thing is what we're trying to do is understand that, yes, we were looking for binding arbitration, but in the interest of coming up with a collaborative resolution, the labor board would be would involve some important changes. And beyond that, the grievance procedure itself, we would be able to negate the need for all language following the first sentence, because the grievance procedure is something that would be that would dealt with by the labor board too. Impasse and collective bargaining in section 13 to 63. We would change the second sentence to read, should any dispute not be resolved by February 1st, it shall be deemed that an impasse has been reached, at which point the matters in dispute shall be presented jointly by the parties in writing to the labor board for hearing and resolution. C, substitute labor board for mayor and council throughout the entire subsection. And D, substitute labor board for mayor and council. And so we're going to submit all of these. I think we've discussed in detail why we feel it's important to have a little change in the way the labor board is constituted so that there can be a meaningful resolution to any possible disagreements. But hopefully this is going to make things more efficient and more effective. And I'm just submitting these adjustments and definition to the record. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Please get those over to our clerk.
Yeah, I've sent them over to the clerk, and she can she should have them now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next on our list, we have Mr. Jeffrey Mills. Sir, just please state your name and record for your name and address for the record. And remember, you have 3 minutes and you have the floor. Mr. Mills?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Jeffrey Mills, 14409 Sandy Ridge Lane, Laurel. And I just wanted to speak on appreciation of the FOP and DPW. Concerned citizens are asking, though, it's been 6 years, why wasn't the person why wasn't the person charged in manslaughter killing of Marcus Colbert, the DPW that everyone loved? That's been since January 23rd, 2017. And also, concerned citizens are letting me know that neighbors are recommending that Councilman Sidnor send out mailers apologizing to Marcus Colbert's family for his photo op of depicting himself as a DPW worker, which was tasteless and senseless. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mills.
Thank you for that. Talk it into existence, please.
There's a mistake on my ear. But we're gonna move on to Mr. Lloyd Holloway. You have the floor. Remember, again, you have 3 minutes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm speaking on behalf of the administrative staff and the work leaders. So I believe that the administrative staff should be represented by the union because they work just as hard as we do, and they do report as essential personnel when we have snowstorms, whether it be reporting to the office or whether it be working from home. They still giving up their time and their lives to represent the city and make sure everything runs smooth. At the same time, they encounter a lot of verbal and nasty phone calls, which y'all don't receive, y'all don't know about, but they do, and probably a couple of nasty emails too. So I really believe as though that they should be included in this union. You know, they have every right and entitled to it just as much as we are. Also, you all are trying to figure out who the frontline supervisors are. Our frontline supervisors are our work leaders. Anything from our work leaders, crew leaders, however y'all put it, those are frontline supervisors. They do not have the right to hire or fire. They can't write anybody up, anything like that. They're out in the field with us just as much, doing everything all the way through and through. So from our administrative staff, which would be Anna, Kate, and our newcomer Kelly, to our work leaders, Petey Strange, Timothy Moses, and Brian Bennett, they should be included in our union. It's no question, no doubt about it. And also, I don't know if y'all skipped her, but Kate White did sign up to speak on this behalf right here as well. I don't think she got bypassed, but she did sign up to speak on this. But that's all. That's what I have to say right there.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway. And no, she wasn't bypassed. I may have called you the last, but she is signed up for 5 and 12. All right, thank you so much. And last but not least, we'll have Miss Kate Wright. Miss Wright, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, so my name is Kate Wright, and I live on First Baptist Lane, and I've been a public works admin for 7 years. Section 13.2 Bravo's use of the word specifically creates a loophole. It limits the bargaining unit to only those specifically named positions. Nothing stops the city from creating a new position called truck driver, ineligible for the union, while never again hiring another equipment operator. Councilmember Mitchell has already touched on a good solution by changing it to a phrase such as, but not limited to. If the council does not intend to exclude the administrative staff from the union with their absence from 13.2 Bravo, then 13.2 Charlie should also be clarified. Admins have access to the billing database with residents' billing history, something the city considers confidential. And we also do draft memos for the director. The city lawyer said confidential generally only applies to the executive assistant and the director, but that's not what's written. What's written is vague and open to interpretation. And based upon my experience as a citizen of the city with how the city has treated the meaning of words, I fear confidential will be interpreted to exclude all admin staff from the union. 13.2 Hotel creates a labor board responsible for hearing appeals before going to court. It consists of 2 city employees with a duty to the city and 1 unbiased third party, but no representation for labor. The city is requiring the union give up their single most effective means to compel an unwilling employer to bargain, striking, while rejecting binding arbitration. During last week's work session, one of the most pressing concerns for the city lawyer was to avoid the unexpected costs that might come if the city lost an arbitration. But going to court where a decision might take years, where the city will be paying for lawyers the entire time, hurting employee morale, and in the end, the courts may still order you to fix the too costly problem, isn't better. Instead, what we should aim to do is to avoid court altogether by having the penultimate step be a balanced labor board, 1 city rep, 1 union rep, and 1 mutually agreed upon neutral mediator or third party. It's a solid compromise. The council has said many times they support the union, but the ordinance as written right now leaves something to be desired. It has that loophole, it's exclusionary, it's overly vague where it should be more specific, and it's tilted in favor of the city, undermining the union's power to effectively represent the best interest of the employees. But I believe with just a few simple changes, it can be much better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. I will close the public hearing at 7:13 p.m. All right,
Mr. President,
yes.
when you close, I just want to make a comment of a statement that was made here this evening.
All right, the public hearing is closed, 7:13 p.m. Mayor Mo, you have the floor.
I want to make a brief comment. I know the election season's upon us. There's a lot of people that bring up a lot of things and accusations, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm sick and tired of people bringing up Marcus Colbert for political reasons. That's exactly what's going on here. I put up with this crap a few years ago during the election about Marcus. The police department did their job. The state's attorney decided not to bring charges. None of the council members right now, or none of the other council members before, have anything to do with that investigation. So I hope that Mr. Mills decides not to continue to bring Marcus Colbert's name up. It's absolutely shameful that people are trying to gain votes or bring people aboard for votes. And I, for one, am not going to allow that to happen again. I just got off the phone the other day speaking to both the parents of Marcus about some things we're trying to do for them. markets. And that is something that's on my mind every day about Marcus Colbert. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to allow people to bring his name and drag it through the mud and do it for political reasons. It's shameful, and I hope it stops. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I could also, just for the record, that we had for agenda item number 12, Mr. Matthew Bird's comments that were submitted over the weekend are part of the official record. These were also sent to each of the council members and the mayor. So I just wanted to put that on the record, please.
That was received, and I know I read it. I'm sure the other council members did too. And so Councilman Mitchell had a comment, I believe.
Yes, so it was a suggestion. We were talking about like listing positions included. The city has a scale for wages. And so my thought was, instead of specifying the positions, maybe we can specify the grade. I know that senior admin is grade 12, street refuge supervisor is 13, and rank 18 is where the assistant director shows up. And so if we use the grade number instead of the positions, that I believe that might be the most inclusive. So that is my recommendation, suggestion.
All right, Mr. Lucci, are you still on? Len?
Yes, I'm here.
And just for the record, just from in my edification, leaving administrative staff out, is that a pro for this or a con?
Well, I mean, to the extent an administrative staff member has access to confidential information that the director uses in the course of his employment, that would be defined properly as a confidential employee and excluded from the bargaining unit. That's pretty much consistent with just about every bargaining unit in local government.
Well, I thought last time we were talking about the executive director or the director and executive assistant. At least that's what was stated. So when we did the work session, so it does seem vague if that is the intention to include everyone.
Are there any more comments or questions for the council before we move forward on this? I'm sure they're taking our comments down, and of course we have another go around at this to stab how we'd like it to see to be and come to a resolution on it. And so if there's no other comments or questions, if you think of one after, again, submit it to the administration, and we'll talk and discuss it at the next meeting. The second public hearing with possible action on this item will be at the regular meeting of September 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Right. Actually, yeah, and there being no further business to come before the council tonight, this meeting is adjourned.
Re